come to you first, Jess. How do you politely email a client to tell them that their email attempts to gaslight, bully, undermine, and ridicule them are not acceptable?
Yeah, I mean, there's some really intense words there, and I just hate this person already. This client is horrible. You do not need them in your life, would be my first answer. So I guess it depends on, there are two situations I can imagine you asking this question. One is your client facing in a business, an agency, or a creative business, in which case you absolutely should have support with this. And this is something that you should be able to problem solve internally, and it's not your place to solve it on your own. The other, I guess, scenario I could imagine someone asking this question is if you're freelance or you work for yourself and you have direct, whether you're a designer or a creative or whatever, you have a direct clients. Personally, I would probably tell them to fuck off. You've sworn, Tara, so now it's my turn. I think, but, I know that's not always practical. I think, I would go, okay, if I really need the income from this client, I'd be looking for another client for a start to replace them. I'd be sort of phasing them out. But in the meantime, I mean, I've had some situations in my time where I've had some pretty horrific sort of confronting, bullying people that I've worked with. And I remember there was one, I had an ECD, and I avoided it for a really long time, and I'd had all these avoidance strategies, make sure I was never in a one-on-one meeting. If I knew I was going to get creative feedback, make sure someone else was around, or do it somewhere in an open space, because it could be pretty vicious. And then I remember once, just under the auspices of of doing something else, I ended up in a one-on-one meeting with him, and it was, it became pretty, all those things, gaslighting and bullying, pretty quickly. And I just stopped at one point and just said, I'm really sorry, but I have to leave. The way that you're talking about this to me is making me feel really uncomfortable. And I left the room, and it absolutely changed the dynamic between us. And then we were talking off air before we came off air. It's not radio. Before we went live, and Tara was like, yeah, that's actually a strategy. And I was like, yeah, I adopted a strategy. I mean, I did leave soon afterwards. I think the thing is, if this is a consistent, repeated behavior and you have made some efforts, you don't want to end up in a confrontational situation, but you can certainly let people know that it's not okay to treat you that way without being confrontational. But you need to be able to get out of those situations. No job is worth being treated like that by someone like that. The actual strategy you could talk about.
Yeah. Well, I was just super proud of you, and I was
proud of me.
I was just thinking, oh, look at that! You're totally doing the 3-part sentence straight away. So the 3-part sentence that I tell clients about all the time. First of all, you really want to be using I statements, and that was one of the things that Jess really did in that was, I am leaving now, right? Because I am the one that I can control me. So I can't tell you to stop something. Well, I can tell you to stop something. I can't make you stop something. However, I can actually control if I'm in the room or not. So by just saying, I'm leaving the room right now because of what you're doing, and she was very clear and specific about what it was that the person was doing, was leaving her feel in a certain way. The only part that was missing, so the 3-part sentence is, I feel when I prefer, or I need from you, or whatever it is. So we then, it's our right to safety. It's our responsibility to communicate. So if we're going to be communicating to someone to stop, that's all well and good. Someone who's asleep can stop better than you. So what are we actually going to do, right? What's the action part of it? What I need is, if you're going to be talking to me about work things, I would like to always have a support person present, or whatever it may be. Another little sort of sideways point, though, moving away from the strategy specifically, is if I imagine that there's potentially some people who are freelancers who are essentially working in their own business, and they might not have someone to kind of hand it over to, or they might not have the resources to be able to sort of pass this person on to someone else, a really great tip is to create a new email address. So you've got my email is tara@thetaraclinic.com. And then we create mark@thetaraclinic.com, who is now the assistant. And all communication needs to go through the assistant. And then what happens is the way that the person starts to talk to the assistant, who you're still technically the person that's receiving it, you'll start to notice that will change, because the beef has now become like a personal thing. But as a new person, right, a new person in your organization, you've just, I'm just here to try and work out what the problem is. So what's the actual issue? Let's work this out. But you're doing it from, a new persona. And that can be a really nice way to actually sort of say the things that you want to say, potentially keep the client if you want to keep the client, or move the client on if you want to move the client on.
I love it.
Yeah. I love
Mark is sassy.
Yeah.
Mark says it straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think it's good, but also let's admit, Mark's probably going to get a better response as well, isn't he?
Bingo. Hence why I chose a male name.
Yes. That's another question for another time. Okay,
Yes, exactly.
Let's move on.